Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Agile for career advancement. So I'm not as much of an expert on career advancement, but I think there's some topics that are absolutely very applicable when it comes to the Agile methodology. So let's spend a few minutes on this page. Here's the Ferrari I mentioned that you want to buy yourself when you get your offer. Here's the second Ferrari you actually want to buy your career coach when you get the offer. Again, I mentioned I'm still waiting for that Ferrari. So strategically, what are your career goals? Is it money? Is it the kids? Is it the mansion? Is it the car? So you may be doing great in a job, but you don't want to do what I did, which was get stuck 15 years in a job, yes, paying a lot of money, but not really thinking about whether it was satisfying to me. And after 4 years, it actually wasn't satisfying. As I mentioned, I stayed anyway. So really, in terms of increments, I would break your career to 5 to 7 year increments. What is it you want to do for the first 5 years? Then the next 5 years, then the next 5 years. Think about how you want to progress within a company. Think about what type of a company you want to be at. So if you can think about your career in these separate chunks, you can start to think about what's going to be important to you at every single chunk. So if you're coming out in your 22 years, it's probably just getting the experience, and the money probably is not as crucial. Once you get into that chunk when you're in your 30s, if you have kids, then the money may become more important. Work-life balance may become more important. But the most successful people I know, they really try to plan their career as best as possible. Now, of course, the plan's not going to come through. 80% of us are going to be in jobs 5 years from now that we've never even heard of. But if you know that, hey, every 5 to 7 years, I have a sense that I really should be thinking strategically, and I don't really want to get stuck in a job, then if you at least keep in mind that your career is a series of 5 to 7 year chunks, it'll really help you think through a little bit more about, are you really where you want to be? So that's just so important. The concept of self-organizing, the idea that in Agile, there's different groups and they self-organize, they can teach each other, and certain groups can volunteer to take certain parts of the project. Well, I hate to say it, but in terms of self-organization, if you don't manage your career, it's not going to get managed for you. You have to take responsibility for your career. I see so many people where they leave the promotion decision up to the boss. I see so many people where they don't think about their career, manage their career. Am I getting paid the right amount of money? Am I really advancing? Because the problem in this world is that if you don't manage your career, you're going to be used. And I think technology people are used more than any other professional out there, because technology people sometimes are on the quieter side. These are generalizations from my clients. It's my own opinion. Technology clients tend to be on the quieter side. They tend not to be as sales oriented. They tend not to be as aggressive when it comes to managing their career. They really love technology and love to work with technology. Well, that's fine, but unless you manage how you're using technology, you will get used and abused by the marketplace. You won't get paid. You won't get promoted. And you'll wonder why it's happening to other people. So the ultimately, you have to self-organize, and you basically have to do this yourself. There's nobody out there that's going to manage your career for you. Even if you come to a career coach like myself, we'll work together for 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. So managing your career is just so important. Working cross-functionally. So you're constantly working with other departments. You're constantly meeting new people in other groups, whether it's for a particular project or a number of different projects. So the idea of working cross-functionally in an Agile format is getting to know people in other departments, sharing the work, and really learning from everybody. Well, the other issue I see with technology folks is they tend not to be as outgoing or as sales-oriented as someone like myself who came from finance. Again, my own characterization of my own clients. Well, I hate to say it, but you have to break out of your bubble. So with the idea of being cross-functional and working with other teams, go invite somebody in HR for coffee. Go invite somebody from the marketing department to have a coffee. Obviously, I'm speaking post-COVID, or a virtual coffee. So let me give you an example. My son works for a technology company. He does have a little bit of a sales bent to him. He's got a personality. So when he got to his company, he's a Python coder. So he's an expert in Python, but he allocated a certain percentage of his day to getting to know the finance people getting to know the marketing people, getting to know people in different technology divisions of his company. And he's known across the company as a guy that can get things done. And he's known by many more people than professionals at his age, because he basically took himself out of his individual role and met people at the water cooler, had a conversation with them, even if it was just to share backgrounds. So if you're not out there cross-functionally talking to people, it's really a problem. And the great thing about my son is that he'll get information from a coffee, and he'll take that information and use that to basically advance his career. So he's not using people, he's getting to know them. But when you talk to somebody in finance and you're a Python programmer, you find out interesting information about your company you may not have known. And then my son took that information and said, that's interesting. I think I want to work on a project that's more finance oriented, because he really likes finance. When he had a coffee with somebody that was in the marketing department, he learned very quickly, well, marketing wasn't exactly for him. So he adjusted himself and he made sure that the projects that he worked on weren't directly involved with marketing. So every single conversation you learn something, every single conversation you can make some sort of an adjustment. I'm not suggesting you have to make an adjustment, but with every conversation you learn something. So whether it's networking for a job, whether it's coffees with people internally, whether it's getting to know your boss over a beer when we can have a beer, this is just so important to build your career. And guess what happens when layoffs come? The person who's most plugged in to a variety of different departments, and where a variety of different departments can go to bat to say, let's not fire Bill, that's going to give you much more job security. I realize that we're in a completely bull market for technology at this point, and most of you could probably find the wrong job very quickly. Many of you could find the right job very quickly. But the more political capital you have internally, because you've had these kind of coffees, the more you're going to survive any kind of a potential layoff. So I think that's really, really important.